I'm Sarah, and I teach English as a second language to students all over the world. Everyone has their own difficult areas. However, I've noticed that there are some common problems for speakers of certain languages. And so today, I am going to share with you my top 10 recommendations for Russian speakers. If you speak quickly, it can be really difficult to pronounce each word correctly, and even harder to remember correct grammar. So just try to slow down. It's unlikely that you will speak too slowly. If you listen to people on the television speaking, then you will notice how slowly they speak and how easily then they can be understood. This will have two benefits. Firstly, it will be easier to understand you because you will be able to speak more clearly. And secondly, it will improve how you come across. If you speak very quickly, people can think that you are nervous or desperate or aggressive even, when you don't mean to be. So just try to slow down. Intonation is the rise and fall or melody of speech. It is really important in the English language for two reasons. Firstly, with understanding. We communicate our punctuation with intonation. So we rise in the middle of a phrase and then fall at the end. And then we have a full stop, and we either then start a new sentence or it is the other person's turn to speak. The exception is with a question, where we raise our tone at the end. Russian speakers speak in a very flat, monotone way, and this means it can be very difficult to understand when your sentence is finishing, and so it can really be a barrier for communication. The second use of intonation is to give some feeling to your speech, some expression, and so if you speak in a very monotone tone, it can have a really different impression, and it can make people think that you are maybe not interested or bored when you don't intend to be. If I give you an example with a simple sentence, would you like a cup of tea? That is a simple question, and I am offering somebody a cup of tea. If I ask that same question in a monotone way, would you like a cup of tea? Then it gives me the impression that that person doesn't want to make or buy me a cup of tea, and it just doesn't sound very friendly. So try to use intonation. I know that many Russians are taught in school to merge words together to create a good transition. However, this can make you very difficult to understand, especially if you are also speaking quickly. So I would recommend to pronounce each word separately. If you merge words together, it can also lead to missing small words because you're in a rush to get to the next one. So words like of and also articles are missed. So it also affects then your grammar. So try to remember to pronounce each word separately. If you have a lot to say, it can be very tempting to say it all in one go, without giving the other person a chance to respond. This is rarely a good idea unless you are delivering a presentation. It can make you appear nervous or aggressive, similar to speaking quickly, and it can often incorporate repeating certain things as you try to clarify and ensure that the other person understands. What I would recommend instead, if you find that you are about to repeat something, then rather than doing so, ask a question. Encourage a conversation, because that is how you will ensure that the other person has understood correctly. So ask, does that make sense? Do you understand? What are your thoughts? This way, you will know by the person's response whether or not you've been understood. It will probably save you time as well, because you will repeat yourself less. So try to encourage a conversation. Articles may be small, but they are very important words. Many Russian speakers omit them, not necessarily all the time, but frequently. And this can have a major impact on people's perception of your accent. Even though you may not think that they are part of your accent, then it forms part of that impression. So make sure that you use articles. Unless it is an emergency, like the building is on fire, then start every interaction with a pleasantry. This is a really important part of British culture. If you don't, then you can come across as rude or people may think something is wrong. And this applies to every interaction. So it could be on the phone or in person or by email. If it is somebody that you are likely to speak to again, then use pleasantries. If you go into your office and just sit down at your desk and start working because you're just focused on what you're doing, then people will think that you're rude or perhaps something is wrong. So a simple, "Hi everyone, how are you?" It's fine. You don't need to greet each individual person. And then if you need to ask someone a question, if you start directly with that question, unless you have already spoken to them earlier that day, then start with a pleasantry. It doesn't need to take very long. A simple, "Hi, how are you?" Or, "How was your weekend?" "How was your holiday?" It's fine. You may not want to hear about the person's husband, dog, holiday, but still listen and give a polite response because it will affect your relationship with them. Now, you may not want to be friends with this person. However, the next time you want something done, then you may be bottom of the queue. So use pleasantries. Vowels are the basis of the English language. And this can be very difficult to get right for Russian speakers because of the structure of the Russian language. Many Russian speakers pronounce the short I sound as an E. And this is a major part of the Russian accent. So rather than saying invite, short I, then Russian speakers can say invite. And rather than litter, then you can say liter. You'll know whether you are doing this correctly by the shape of your mouth if you look in the mirror. I is a very short sound, I. You can see the shape of my mouth, I. If you pronounce it as E, you will see too many of your teeth and you'll know that you are doing it wrong. Improving vowel pronunciation will have a dramatic positive impact on your accent. So it is worth practicing. A very common mistake for Russian speakers is to mispronounce f as d. So rather than these, say d's. So the th sound is formed by putting your tongue out of your mouth. It must be out of your mouth, with your teeth resting on your tongue. These, not d's. And there, not dare. This could be very uncomfortable, but your tongue must come out of your mouth to pronounce this sound correctly. This is a really common sound in the English language, so correcting just this one pronunciation will have a major impact on your accent. Many Russian speakers switch W and V. So where we should be using W, for example, where, then it's pronounced there. But it should be pronounced where, where, not there. And then, conversely, then where we should be using a V, so for example, very, then this can be pronounced werry. The good thing is, because you can pronounce both sounds, then it's quite easy to get this right. You just need to use those sounds at the correct time. Many Russian speakers overstress words with a double consonant in the middle, because effectively they are pronouncing it twice. We pronounce a double consonant the same as a single consonant. So for example, litter. But a Russian speaker can pronounce this lit-ter, lit-ter. So then the middle T is very overstressed. This again can form part of your accent. So try to just pronounce it as a single letter and ignore the fact that there are two letters there. Those are my top 10 recommendations for Russian speakers. I hope you found that useful, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you, bye!